Greetings, Authenticate attendees. My name is Jackie Comp. I run sales at Nok Nok, and thank you for joining our session today. You've likely heard a lot about FIDO, and you may be wondering, is it really possible to migrate off passwords? The answer is yes, and Nok Nok has worked with many major brands around the globe to make it easy. In the next 30 minutes, we're going to show you that it's not only possible, but it's already practical to take that journey. I'm going to give you a bit of a background on Nok Nok, and we'll be sharing some of the results from real deployments. And then my colleague, Walter Beisheim, is going to give you a live demonstration. So what does it mean to delight your customers as they onboard to your services and authenticate on an ongoing basis from any of their devices? Unlike with employees, where you don't control what devices your customers use, these devices cover the gamut. So to get rid of the friction caused by passwords, many organizations have enabled biometrics on mobile devices through things like native APIs for Touch ID or Face ID. But you can't do that in browsers. So depending on the device and whether they're using a mobile app or a web app, after clicking next, the user experience is different and often reverts to a password. What we can deliver today with our FIDO-based solution is the ability to have that consistent passwordless experience across all devices, so that when you click next, you're prompted to use an authenticator on your device. No more passwords. So what makes this so different and important for your business? In the background of this great user experience, you are getting strong multi-factor authentication. I repeat, strong multi-factor authentication. Can't be phished, it's resistant to man-in-the-middle of attacks, and it's privacy preserving because the biometric never leaves the device. From a security perspective, it's really like turning any device into a customer-friendly hardware-based token. Nok Nok's platform can deliver this front door for your digital services today, leveraging state-of-the-art authentication built on FIDO. So who is Nok Nok, and why should you feel comfortable working with us to deliver this passwordless authentication vision? First, we have deep domain expertise in this area. It was actually Nok Nok who invented the concept of FIDO 7 years ago. We were one of the original 6 members of the FIDO Alliance and have been a key board member ever since, as well as chairs of many of the FIDO working groups and editors of the specifications. We also have the most widely deployed FIDO solution in the market, used by some of the largest global organizations to authenticate their tens of millions of customers each, which means we have a mature product that is evolved based on real-world deployments. FIDO is a specification that has to be operationalized, and by working with our many customers over the years, we've learned what it takes to be successful and have built those innovations into our platform. So let's do a quick recap of why FIDO is the right foundation for this next generation passwordless platform. First, it's a standard. It's been adopted by the industry, even most recently by Apple. If you think of what SSL did for e-commerce by introducing a standard approach for trusting websites, FIDO's bringing a standard approach for trusting users and devices. There's an immediate cost benefit by leveraging a standard versus implementing something proprietary. It's also secure. It uses cryptography. Again, can't be phished. It's not vulnerable to man-in-the-middle attacks, and it eliminates the risk of scalable attacks because there are no shared secrets on the server, which again makes it privacy preserving. And it's cost effective. If you're going to change your legacy authentication architecture that you've had in place for years, you want the new one to last you into the future, which a standard gives you. Okay, so you've become convinced that a FIDO-based approach makes sense. Now, why should you consider Nok Nok's platform? Put simply, we can get you there quickly with a proven solution that will accelerate your journey and ensure your success. We support all digital channels, which we'll show you later in our demo. We even have the first FIDO SDK for smartwatches, as well as the first FIDO SDK for IoT devices. Beyond FIDO, we've built in the capabilities that you need to support the user journey and the many different use cases that come with a diverse user base and the authentication lifecycle, from onboarding to multiple device registration to account recovery. We make it easy for you to migrate off passwords. And it's simple for your developers. We have a single developer API and an architecture that integrates easily with your backend systems. It's also simple for your administrators with a rich administrative console for configuring things like adaptive policies and accessing rich reports and metrics. In summary, Nok Nok's platform is proven, scalable, and cost-effective. These are just some of the examples of customers who trust Nok Nok for their authentication. As you can see, these are global brands, some of the largest financial institutions, mobile network operators, highly regulated industries where security is paramount and where user experience is a competitive advantage. They've adopted our solution, again, at scale to service their millions and millions of users. Our product is proven, our product is mature. We also have a rich partner ecosystem. We've built in connectors with IDPs like ForgeRock and Ping, as well as other third-party solutions in behavioral biometrics and ID proofing. And we have many partners who wanted to add FIDO authentication into their own offerings. And rather than trying to build it themselves, they've incorporated our best-of-breed technology. Here are three examples of customers who have implemented our solution and the results that they've received. Intuit is a great example. They've deployed it across many business applications, including their flagship TurboTax product, with really astounding results. Their authentication success rate improved to virtually 100%, a huge improvement over SMS OTP. They've had a reduction in login time by 78%. Their login success rate increased by 6% when they said even moving the needle 1% was very difficult. And they report reduced fraud rates due to shorter session times. T-Mobile had a dramatic drop in password resets in the first 3 months, which of course was a huge savings in their call center. And they realized very quick adoption over the first 6 months that they rolled it out. We also have an Asian retail bank who prefers to remain anonymous, who again saw incredible authentication success rates. Their customers were able to finish payments much more quickly. And not only did they reduce their development costs, they reduced their SMS cost dramatically. So really wonderful results. And there's a lot more we can share with you on this in other sessions. But that gives you a nice flavor of it. If you did attend our other session on best practices earlier this week for implementing FIDO, we shared what most companies take as a phased approach, which has been very successful. They typically start with a mobile-first strategy by adding FIDO support to their mobile applications. This secures your mobile app, and it allows you to start deprecating SMS OTP. So you can send push notifications to the phone where people swipe their finger. Much more convenient and much more secure and less expensive. It also gets your organization to start the conversation about building the strategy to migrate off passwords across channels and putting in a strategic approach, starting with mobile first and then expanding it out. Large organizations then typically expand the passwordless experience to the browser, leveraging the web authent standard, or even by providing out-of-band alternatives like push notifications for any non-FIDO enabled devices. Organizations then start fully onboarding new users without passwords and deprecating passwords for their existing users. And this really has happened. NTT Docomo is a great example of one of our customers who has gone entirely passwordless. As a result, their users are enjoying easy access to Docomo services, and their users are no longer having to worry about unauthorized access to their account. With FIDO, phase one is just the beginning. With proprietary approaches, this is often a dead end. So this wraps up my section, giving you kind of a brief background about Nok Nok and our S3 Authentication Suite. We welcome the opportunity to share more and invite you to come to our website or to reach out to us for a briefing. But next, we're going to move to a live demonstration with my colleague Walter, who you do not see because he's going to be using his camera to show you Face ID as part of his demonstration. So Walter, I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks, Jackie. And tell the truth, it's really because I'm not as photogenic as you, so we didn't want to do the video. Anyway, thank you very much for that information, Jackie. So what I'm going to show you here today are some examples of the power and flexibility of the Nok Nok passwordless authentication solution in live operation. I'll start by showing you a banking demo running on multiple platforms with both mobile app and browser use scenarios. You can actually run this demo on your own devices by going to our website, knocknock.com, clicking Try Now, and get the instructions and the access. And note that even though we use a banking example here, the concept applies similarly to other use cases in industries as well. Notably, for example, the use of this capability for payments authorization and for things like PSD2 SCA compliance. After I go through the demo scenarios, I'll then show you some actual Nok Nok consumer applications live that our customers have deployed. These are real active solutions deployed at scale with tens of millions of users in place in many cases for up to 2 years already. So here you see 3 devices on the screen. On the left, you see my iPhone 11. On the right, you see a Moto Z3 Android device. And in the middle, you see a smaller screen of Edge on my Windows Surface device that I'm using here today. So first thing that I'm going to show you is that you can see how these interfaces can be built and set up to provide a similar look and feel across devices and consistent frictionless user experience regardless of the device or channel. And you'll see that as I go through this. So first, we're going to look on the iOS app. So on the left, you notice that there's a URL across the top. That's because this is a Safari implementation. And I'm going to go to log into Safari. Now, Safari allows you to use a security key. So now it's asking me to use my saved account, which is the one on the top, which, by the way, conveniently is already checked. So I hit continue. It recognizes my Face ID, and I am now into my bank account, and I can perform all of these functions on the account that you see here. Now, similarly, if I bring up an iOS app, you see it looks essentially the same other than not having the URL. And I'm going to go to log in here. It's even more convenient because all it does is recognize my face and I'm in. And while I'm in, you can also see that I can change my cards, send money, do a mobile deposit, change my settings, set up my recovery settings, all of those functions from within the application. Okay, and now on the right-hand side, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an Android app and a Chrome interface on my Android phone. So an important feature, by the way, provided by Google in their FIDO implementation is the ability to use the same FIDO registration for both the mobile app and mobile web authentications on the same device. So this applies to both phones and Android tablets, of course. And what that means is that there's no need to perform additional registration and identity proofing on an Android device after it has been initially registered, even if you use a different channel. So here, again, I'm on Chrome. I'm going to log in. I'm rendering my fingerprint here on the side. Oops, sorry, didn't like my fingerprint. There we go. And I'm in. Now, I'm going to go down and go to the Android app. Same thing. Hit next to log in. Use my fingerprint sensor. It's recognized, and I'm in and I have access. All the same experience, web browser, mobile web browser, and app on both of those devices. So now I'm going to show you the banking login application on my Windows Surface using Edge. So you'll see here now as I tap on this, this is a Microsoft implementation. So I'm using Face. I also have the capability to use fingerprint. I can use my Windows Hello PIN, or I can use a security key. So Microsoft displays all these options for performing a FIDO authentication on Windows Hello in a web authenticator, so the user can decide which modality or user gesture they want to use on a case-by-case basis. And in this case, I'll use my Face ID, and I've got an in. So another important consideration of the FIDO approach is, as Jackie said, the user's biometric template, for example, their face print or their fingerprint, remains on the device and in the complete control of the user. Similarly, the Nok Nok solution provides the ability for the user to see and manage all of their platform authenticator registrations for every device once they have authenticated on the device that they're currently using. So what do I mean by that? Well, I can go in here and I can hit settings, and you see all the devices associated with Walter Beisheim on my iPhone, Chrome on Android, Chrome on Windows, mobile Safari on iOS. And if I lose a device or replace a device, I can go into any other device, authenticate myself, and I can remove that registration from the device as long as I've been authenticated. So now, I can also use this capability to bootstrap from one device to the next. That means that after I'm already on one device, I can use that device to bring on another device securely and create a registration. So for example, if I go down here and I say this device, I'm going to remove this capability, and I log out. So since it knows, by the way, that I've already used another device and my registration is gone, when I click on next here, it actually sends a push notification over to my iPhone, recognize my face, and brings me into the account. But what if I didn't do that? What if I was just doing this for the first time? Well, I can hit sign in with QR code. I can take my iPhone, I can look at that QR code, it recognizes my face, and again brings me in to the account where I can use my settings. And as simple as this, just hit setup. It's registering the FIDO authenticator. It says use your fingerprint on the reader. Now it's registered my FIDO authenticator. Now I'm going to log back out, and we see that this time when I hit next, FIDO's in place, and in this case, it accepts my face. Now, note that I can utilize that QR code capability. For example, if I'm going to a hotel kiosk, right? I can use my phone as a roaming authenticator, and in that case, I wouldn't want to leave my registration on that device, but I have the capability of performing a secure transaction on that device, utilizing my phone as a roaming authenticator. And then you say, well, what about a device with a web browser that has not been upgraded to support WebAuthn? Well, in that case, you can either add a fingerprint reader, or you can also utilize, again, your phone as a roaming authenticator. But what if I don't use Edge on my Windows device? Well, That's not a problem because I can use Chrome, for example. And here I'm on Chrome on a Windows 10 device. And by the way, I'm showing you here an example of a payments application. So what I do is I'm on this drone shop and I like this expensive drone. I look at all of the details and I decide that I'm going to buy it. I go to my cart, and since I logged in before, I have my cart on file information here up in the left, and I can place my order. And it's as simple as looking at my face and I say, okay. And now I've placed my order. By the way, that is PSD2 SCA compliant. We can also set up together with the merchant to cover the transaction confirmation requirement utilizing FIDO capabilities. So now that I've shown you some of our demos, and remember that you can access these demos by going to Nok Nok website and clicking Try Now, I will show you how some of your customers have implemented our solution to provide secure, simple, and passwordless access. You may have one of these apps already on your phone. You didn't even notice when the company converted their login to Nok Nok solution. This is because the Nok Nok solution is the same user experience as many less secure Touch ID or Face ID login solutions. The difference you would have seen is that when you have the occasion to enter your password on the web browser version, and of course, you haven't used the web browser for the last 3 months, so you forgot your password because you didn't use it. After you changed your password, you go back to your mobile device and you find out that Touch ID or Face ID no longer works. And this would be, for example, if what you're doing is what you were doing with Touch ID or Face ID was actually just caching the username and password. That's not the case with the Nok Nok solution. Once you have a registration, it's in place. So now what I'm going to do is go back over here to my iPhone, and I'm going to click on my TurboTax account. Okay, TurboTax does some checking with me, and then it says sign in as Walter Beisheim. I hit sign in as Walter Beisheim. It recognizes my face, and then it creates a secure connection, and I'm into my TurboTax. Just simple capability, same Face ID. So now I'm signing out there. Next, I'm going to look at my Verizon. Now you'll notice with my Verizon account that initially it didn't ask me for my fingerprint. That's because Verizon is using other capabilities that FIDO can use to verify that it's my device, in addition to the things that they know about my device because they're my mobile network operator. But if I decide, for example, that I want to go, so I can pay my bill, but what if I want to go into my account or I want to buy something? So I hit the account and then we do the FIDO ID. So before I can see what my plan is or make changes to my plan, I have to authenticate myself with multi-factor authentication. So I'm going to sign out there, and then we'll go over here to my Android account where I have a My T-Mobile account. It's asking me for my biometric, and I've logged into my T-Mobile account. So now, once I get into T-Mobile, I can see all of my capabilities, perform what I want. Also, in the case of T-Mobile, if I transition into customer service, I'm already authenticated with my phone, so they don't have to ask me a bunch of questions about my account and what my PIN number is. I'm already authenticated. So those are some of the demos that I wanted to show you today. Hopefully this has been enlightening and encouraging and impressive. We look forward to working with you. And again, please be sure to go to our website, download and try some of these demos. Jackie, back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Walter, for walking us through a few of those examples. I want to thank everybody again for joining us today. Please feel free to reach out to me. My email address is there, jcomp@knocknock.com. If you would like to explore our solution with us, we can share, again, best practices of how we've worked with other customers. We'd love to learn more about your goals and your requirements and help you determine how we can help you meet those goals. And I'll leave you by saying by explaining if you wondered where Nok Nok came from, the next time someone tries to access your digital services and says knock knock, we'll tell you who's there. Thank you very much.